Over the next few minutes, I'll show you everything you need to know to use the Insta360 Mic Pro properly. I'll show you its hidden features and how to get the most out of the Mic Pro. To make this tutorial easier to follow, it's divided into 13 chapters that correspond to the Mic Pro's most important features. If you'd like to rewatch or rewind to any part of this guide at any time, I've included timestamps below to make this easy. And if you want to find out more detailed information about the Insta360 Mic Pro or buy it, you'll also find links to do so in the video description. And many thanks to Insta360 for sponsoring this video. I have the bundle with the charging case and the 2 transmitters here. There are other bundles available, but the basic functionality of the microphones remains the same. This bundle includes 2 transmitters, which are essentially the microphones themselves, a receiver that you can connect to a camera, smartphone or a computer, a USB-C adapter for the receiver, an audio cable that lets you connect the receiver to a camera's microphone input, 2 windscreens that you can attach to the transmitters to reduce wind noise, 2 back clips and 2 magnets to attach the transmitters to your clothing, the charging case which is used to store and charge the microphones, a charging cable, and a carry pouch to safely store everything. So quite a lot. I'll now show you step by step how to use each part. And we'll start with the most important part, the transmitter and how to attach it properly. There are 2 ways to attach the transmitter to your clothing. These 2 magnets, which you simply place under your clothing and then attach the microphone to, and the back clips, which you can use to clip the microphone to your clothing. The back clips are not magnetic, so you'll need to attach them to the microphone first. They have 2 small guides on both outer sides. At the same time, the microphone has 2 small slots on the back. Place the clip onto the microphone so that the guides fit into these slots. To do this, make sure the side of the clip with the label faces backward, and the bottom of the clip faces the pins. Now slide the clip upward until it clicks into place. To remove it, simply slide it downward in the opposite direction. It takes a little force at first, but it gets easier with time. Normally, you position the microphone so that the microphone opening faces the sound source and is about a hand's width away from your mouth. However, since the Mic Pro actually has 3 microphones and microphone inputs, the direction isn't that critical. The back of the transmitter is magnetic. This allows you to attach the transmitter to metal objects even without the clip. This can be very handy. If you're recording outdoors and it's even slightly windy, you should definitely use the windscreen. It significantly reduces wind noise. To attach it, slide it onto the transmitter from the top and make sure it snaps into place on the sides. But be aware that the windscreen included in the bundle only protects the top microphone. If it's very windy, you'll need to adjust the microphone so that it records primarily through this microphone. For example, using the cardioid setting. You'll see how to do that later. If needed, there's also a windscreen accessory available that protects the side microphones as well. By the way, you'll find links to all accessories in the video description. The transmitter has a range of up to 400 meters to the receiver, but this range applies only when connected to the receiver and under optimal conditions. When connected directly to a camera, such as the Luna Ultra, the maximum range is 50 meters. Okay, now we've attached the transmitter properly. Let's take a closer look at how to operate it. The transmitter has a USB-C port on the bottom, 2 buttons and an LED light on each side. You can use the USB-C port to charge the transmitter if you don't have a charging case, download internal recordings, or, and this is also interesting, connect a lavalier microphone and use the transmitter solely as a transmission device. The right LED light is the internal recording light, so it indicates whether the microphone is currently making an internal recording. I'll explain what an internal recording is in a bit more detail shortly. The left light, on the other hand, is the status and connection light. It shows whether a device is connected, whether a feature like noise cancellation is currently active, or, while charging, what the battery level is. Right now, it's flashing blue slowly, which means no device is connected. But it also means the microphone is turned on, which happens automatically when you take it out of the charging case. The button on the left is the power button. If you press and hold it for 2 seconds, you'll turn the microphone off. If you press and hold it for another 2 seconds, you'll turn the microphone back on. If you purchase the microphone without the charging case, you'll need to charge it via the USB-C port and then turn it on using the button. One very useful feature of the transmitter is that it has internal storage. Each transmitter has approximately 32 gigabytes. This means you can record an audio file using just the transmitter, even without an additional camera or receiver. It's very simple. As soon as the transmitter is turned on, just press the internal recording button briefly and internal recording will start. You'll know it's recording when the red recording light stays on. Press the button again to stop the recording. You can connect the transmitter directly to your computer via cable. The transmitter will be recognized as a drive and you can copy the audio files. This is great for podcasts, for example, or if you simply need an audio recording without video. However, you can also make an internal recording simultaneously while connected to a camera, effectively creating a backup copy of the audio recording. The power button has another function. If you press it twice quickly, you'll activate noise cancellation. The status LED will now flash or light up green, indicating that noise cancellation is active. Distracting background noise is reduced. We'll see later that there are two types of noise cancellation. In most cases, you won't just want to record internally with the transmitter. You'll want to connect it to a camera. You use the power button for this as well. If you press it 3 times quickly, the transmitter enters pairing mode. The status light will now flash blue rapidly. Basically, there are two possible connection methods. You can connect the transmitter directly to a camera via Bluetooth. This works, of course, with devices from Insta360, such as the Luna Ultra, the X5 or the Go Ultra, but also with phones or computers. The second option is to connect it to the receiver, which you then connect to the camera, your phone, or your computer. If, like me, you have the Mic Pro with the receiver and the charging case, and the receiver is turned on when you take it out of the case, the transmitter will automatically connect to the receiver. The status light on the transmitter will now light up solid blue. A solid status light indicates an active connection. You can now also see the audio level and status information for the microphone on the receiver. In my case, the receiver connected automatically. If that isn't the case, place the receiver and transmitter in the charging case, and you'll be asked if you want to pair them. If you don't have a charging case, activate the pairing mode on the transmitter, open the receiver's control center, select connection, and then select pair. If you want to connect the transmitter directly to a camera via Bluetooth, press the power button 3 times briefly to re-enter pairing mode. You can now, for example, go to the settings on the Luna Ultra, tap one of the microphone fields under wireless mic, and the microphone will connect without any problems. On the Go Ultra, connect the microphone under accessories and add Bluetooth accessories. On the X5, you'll find the connection under Bluetooth and Bluetooth microphone. Always make sure the microphone is in pairing mode. The status LED will now light up solid blue again. So to recap, slow flashing means the microphone is on but not connected. Fast flashing means the microphone is in pairing mode. Solid light, the microphone is connected. Green means noise cancellation is enabled. The microphone and your camera are now paired. In the future, both devices will recognize each other and connect automatically as soon as they are both turned on. And that's not all. If you've enabled Bluetooth wake up on the camera will turn on automatically as soon as you turn on the microphone. If you want to connect to a different camera later, simply switch back to pairing mode or place the microphone and receiver in the charging case to re-pair with the receiver. Once you've connected the Mic Pro to a camera, you can adjust many important microphone settings here in the menu, such as the pickup mode, auto gain, or the voice tone preset. I'll explain these features in more detail in a moment, but as you can see here, you don't actually need a receiver to do this. And there's another extremely useful feature you should know about. Once the camera is connected to the transmitter, you can start and stop recording remotely by pressing the power button once. This can be quite handy. You can also connect the Luna Ultra to both transmitters via Bluetooth and record with both transmitters simultaneously. You can also connect the transmitter to a smartphone or computer without a receiver, so using only Bluetooth. To do this, simply switch to pairing mode and search for the microphone in your device's Bluetooth settings. My iPhone and my Mac both recognize the Mic Pro transmitter without any issues. But be warned, I wouldn't recommend this, because the audio quality is very poor with this type of connection. Only use the Mic Pro without the receiver with supported Insta360 devices. For better audio quality when connecting to a smartphone or PC, you'll need a receiver. This also applies whenever you want to connect the Mic Pro to a larger camera, like my Sony here. But before we take a look at the receiver, let's check out one of the coolest features of the Mic Pro, the e-ink display and how to change the image. And it's surprisingly easy. To do this, you'll need the Insta360 app. You can find it in the app stores. Once you've opened the app, Put the microphone back into pairing mode and tap the camera icon at the bottom of the app. Now you can connect the microphone. As you can see, you can also change all the microphone settings here, format the internal storage if needed, and even perform a firmware update. I'll show you the best and most effective way to do this at the end of the video. Now let's change the background image. To do this, select Custom Wallpaper. A menu will open, featuring a variety of wallpapers already provided by Insta360. There are emojis, pets, or even just letters or numbers. But what's really cool is that you can upload your own image or logo. To do this, tap the plus sign, and you can either enter your own text as a wallpaper or, much more interesting, select an image from your phone's album. You can then adjust the position. Now you have the choice between natural and solid. Natural is suitable for photos and more complex images, while solid is best for simple logos. Under natural, you can also adjust the brightness. There's one thing you should know though. The e-ink display has the big advantage that it only uses power when changing the image, so not during normal operation. The downside, however, is that complex photos don't display well and colors aren't always rendered accurately. So you'll need to try out a few different logos to figure out what works best for you. But it's a really cool feature. And there's another feature that sets the Mic Pro apart, the directional pickup mode. You can set it right here on the camera itself, in the app, and of course, you'll also find this feature on the receiver in the transmitter settings. We'll take a look at all the receiver settings later, but I wanted to cover this feature first because it's particularly important. As we've already seen, the Mic Pro has not just one microphone but three. Now it's a matter of determining which direction the sound is primarily picked up from. Omnidirectional is the default mode. Sound is picked up from all directions, resulting in a very spacious sound. This is very well suited for vlogs. With voice focus or super directional, the goal is to primarily capture the voice directly in front of the microphone. Background noise from the sides or rear is suppressed, but distant background sounds are retained. As you can see, this feature is only available on the receiver, but not when connected to the camera. This is well suited for very noisy environments. Cardioid also captures sound from the front, but is better suited for quiet environments, such as podcasts or ASMR videos. Essentially, this simulates the function of a directional microphone. The Figure 8 mode captures sound from the front and back, reducing side noise. This is well suited for interviews or musical recordings involving multiple instruments. If you're unsure which setting to use at first, leave the setting on omnidirectional. And there's another feature you can adjust anywhere that's also very important. The voice tone preset. You can choose between standard, rich, and bright. Let's hear how they sound. Standard is designed for normal, everyday recording and works well in most situations. Rich emphasizes the bass, giving you richer lows for a slightly more powerful sound. And bright ensures exceptional voice clarity, making it ideal for teaching or streaming. As I mentioned, the voice tone preset can also be adjusted here on the camera, for example, or in the transmitter menu of the receiver. So it's time for us to take a closer look at the receiver. If you want to use the Mic Pro with a PC, a phone, or a larger camera, you should use the receiver. The receiver has a dial on the front right for easier operation. You can also press it to confirm a selection, and pressing it twice exits the current menu. On the right side, the receiver has a power button to turn it on and off or to lock the screen. If you press the power button 3 times, the receiver enters pairing mode. This is necessary if you want to connect multiple receivers to the same transmitters. This is called multi-receiver mode. To connect the receiver to a smartphone or computer via USB-C, remove the cover on the back. Now you can insert the USB-C adapter here and connect the receiver via USB-C. You can also connect the receiver directly to a PC using a cable and without an adapter via the USB-C port on the back. And of course, you can use the port to charge it if you don't have a charging case. Here on the left side, you'll find a headphone jack, so you can plug in headphones and check whether the microphone volume is set correctly. And very importantly, there's also an audio output here that lets you connect the receiver to a camera using an audio cable. It's very easy to do. Attach the receiver to your camera's cold shoe using the back clip and use the audio cable to connect the receiver to the camera's microphone input. The transmitter can also be directly installed above the receiver and can be used as a directional microphone, for example for vlogs or documentaries. However, the receiver's back clip isn't just for attaching it to a cold shoe. You can also use it to attach the receiver to your clothing or other objects, for example. Okay, let's take a look at how to operate the receiver, and you'll see it has a lot of useful features. As I mentioned earlier, most of these features can also be activated in the Insta360 app or directly on the camera, but I'll explain them here using the receiver. As soon as a microphone is connected, you'll see the input level here. In my case, it's microphone 1. The connection quality is good and the battery is fully charged. The receiver is set to mono. That's what the M stands for. You have 2 ways to operate the receiver, either via the touchscreen or with the dial. When you turn the dial left or right, you'll select a menu item. And as mentioned, you can also press the dial to confirm a selection, for example, or press it twice to exit a menu. If you're on the home screen and press the dial, you can use it to adjust the receiver's gain. That is to turn the volume of all sources up or down. Press it again to adjust the gain of the first microphone. Press it once more to adjust the input level of the second microphone. Your goal should always be to keep the level bar from turning yellow or red. Otherwise, the audio recording will be distorted. If you tap the microphone's level bar or status indicator, you can control a number of very important microphone functions. The field on the left lets you start and stop a remote internal recording. The one in the middle lets you mute the microphone, and the one on the right lets you activate noise cancellation. This is one of the Mic Pro's biggest strengths. There are 2 settings here: weak and strong. Weak is intended more for indoor use or mild background noise, while strong ensures that your voice remains clear even in a noisy environment. And I have to say, it works exceptionally well. Now you might have multiple transmitters connected and want to activate the same function for all of them at once. To do this, simply swipe up from the bottom edge. Now you can start an internal recording or activate noise cancellation for all microphones simultaneously. You can exit the menu by swiping down from the top. To open the receiver's main menu, swipe down from the top edge. Here you can change the receiver settings. By default, even multiple transmitters together record a single mono track. If you're recording with 2 transmitters, you can use the stereo setting to split the signal into right and left channels. This can be quite useful and gives you more control in post-production, since you can then edit the channels separately. Perhaps one voice is too quiet during an interview. Quadraphonic sound even allows you to connect 4 transmitters and record 4 separate channels. However, this only works with very specific devices. With Safety Track, the right channel records at a reduced gain. This ensures you always have at least one channel that shouldn't clip. Here you can adjust the receiver's output gain again. The next feature is extremely useful when using a camera. When sync camera power is enabled, the transmitter turns on and off along with the camera if it's connected to a camera, for example via an audio cable. This prevents you from forgetting to turn the receiver on or off, and auto power off causes the transmitter to automatically shut down after 15 minutes if it's not connected to a device. And of course, you can also adjust a number of settings for the transmitters. You can enable a low-cut filter to filter out distracting low-frequency background noise. You can adjust the gain, that is the signal input, separately for each transmitter. We've already seen that this can also be done easily from the home screen. And TX Auto Gain is a particularly important feature. It automatically adjusts the gain depending on the situation. Automatic gain control is better suited for situations with rapid, significant fluctuations in volume, such as noisy environments like sporting events or trade shows. While dynamic gain control enables automatic adjustment for quieter indoor settings, allowing 2 people to share one mic from up to 1 meter away with automatic audio balancing. Right next to that, you'll find the settings for the directional pickup mode and the voice tone preset. We've already covered both of these features. 32-bit float allows the transmitter to record audio files independently in 32-bit float, which enables better correction of the audio files in post-production. So if clipping occurs or a recording is too quiet, you can correct this much more effectively with a 32-bit float recording. However, you should be aware that the 32-bit float feature applies only to internal recordings made with the transmitter and not to recordings made with the camera. The same applies to stereo internal recording. Here you can enable the internal recording to be made in stereo across 2 channels rather than in mono. This is possible because the Mic Pro has more than one microphone. Auto internal recording can also be very useful. When enabled, the microphone starts an internal recording if the signal to the camera or receiver becomes weak or the battery level gets low. That way you'll at least still have the internal audio recording. With loop recording, you can record internally in a continuous loop, with all the recordings being overwritten continuously. The recording file format is also an interesting and important option. If you select Processed here, the internal recording will be saved with the enabled effects, such as noise cancellation, low-cut filter, auto gain, and so on. If not, the original unprocessed audio file is saved without these effects, but you'll have more flexibility for post-processing. In addition, you can format the transmitter here, adjust settings for vibration or the LED light, or enable an auto power off function, just like with the receiver. As we saw earlier, the receiver has a headphone output, so you can check the volume properly. Under Monitor Settings, you can set the headphone volume or choose which transmitters you want to monitor. Under Connection, you'll see the transmitters paired with the receiver. You can remove them or pair another transmitter with the receiver. A single receiver can connect to up to 4 transmitters. The timecode function is also very important to many users. Its primary purpose is to synchronize recordings across multiple devices. The receiver can receive a timecode from an external device or output a timecode itself. You can also connect the Insta360 app here and configure a few general settings, such as language or time on the far right. And connecting to the app is very important. That's because you can use the app to update both your receiver and the transmitters. That's why you should actually connect the microphone to the app right at the beginning to perform a possible firmware update. There are several ways to connect. Either select Connect to App here in the menu and then establish a wireless connection, or connect the receiver to your smartphone using a USB-C adapter and then launch the Insta360 app. As we've already seen, you can also connect the transmitters to the app individually. If an update is available, it will be displayed here immediately after you connect, and you should install it right away. If you have one receiver and multiple transmitters, you don't need to update all devices individually. Connect the receiver to each transmitter and then connect the receiver to your smartphone. As soon as you launch the app, you can update all devices in a single operation. Once you're done recording, you can put everything back in the charging case. These 2 compartments are meant for the adapters, the USB-C adapter and, if needed, the Lightning adapter. To keep from losing the 2 magnets, you can store them here on the sides at the back. You can store the back clips here on the back. The transmitters go in here on the sides, and the receiver, of course, goes in the middle. Unfortunately, you'll always have to remove the windscreen, otherwise the charging case won't close. You can charge the case or connect it to a computer via the USB-C port on the back. When the case is fully charged, all 4 LEDs on the side will light up. This allows for up to 30 hours of recording. Now you know everything you need to successfully record for a long time with the Mic Pro. Give me a like as feedback if you found this video interesting. This helps me with the algorithm. There will be more videos about the Mic Pro, so stay tuned and see you next time.